Hello, welcome back, or welcome to my channel. My name is Taylor, and today we'll be doing 10 romance book recommendations just in time for Valentine's Day coming up quite soon. But before we hop into the video, remember to like, comment, and subscribe if you love all things books. There's definitely been a lot of discussion and discourse around the romance genre lately, and I'm going to withhold my 2 cents from it because I don't believe engaging with people who have no business engaging with a group that they know nothing about in general. But if you know anything about me, you know I love romance. I pretty much have loved romance since I was a kid. Even when I was reading books that were fantasy and mystery mostly as a kid, I was definitely reading for the romance. And like my high school English AP English honors teachers talked about, romance and sex sells books, and they have been selling books since the beginning of time because that is a topic that intrigues most people, and no other time of the year I feel like is romance at its most peak or most discussed than around Valentine's Day. So today I have compiled a list of 10 romances. Some you've probably heard, some you may not have heard about as much. We have a good mixture of queer romance versus straight romances versus like young adult, new adult. Hopefully there's stuff here. When I think of Valentine's Day, I think of either very cutesy or very sexy. So hopefully I can fit your vibe here. There's no real dark romance on here. So I'm sorry for my dark romance people out there. But I guess without further ado, let's hop into these romance recs. First up is Fake Dates and Mooncakes by Cher Lee. So this is a young adult queer romance following Dylan and Theo. This is a bit of fake dating, and it's described as Crazy Rich Asians meets Heartstopper. So exactly what happens is Dylan works for his aunt's Chinese takeout restaurant, and one day he's delivering food to this really rich, expensive penthouse, and when he rolls up, Theo's little hookup situation basically just kind of berates him and everything. So Theo, feeling like he needs to make up for what went down, donates money to Dylan's aunt's restaurant and then asks Dylan if he really wants to repay him for the big financial donation. He needs a fake date to his cousin's wedding where his dad will hopefully show up, or his dad will be made really mad. So essentially they go on this little fake dating game, and then, romance ensues. This one is very cute. If you are a foodie, this one is for you because there's also a little food competition, food element to it. I also believe this is closed door. I don't believe there's any spice in this, but then again, it is young adult. So then we have Elsie Silver's Chestnut Springs series. Obviously, everyone and the mama has already read and recommended this. I am only finished with book 3. I have 2 more to make it through. But I've already recommended the Gold Rush Ranch series, so I thought I'd go ahead and put out the Chestnut Springs series. So having read the first 3 books, I'm only going to talk about those. So this is an adult series following sort of these series of brothers who live and work on the Chestnut Springs Ranch. So in the first book, you have, what is his name? Rhett Eaton, and he is a famous bull rider who recently got into a public scandal, so he is assigned essentially a PR babysitter who just happens to be the daughter of his head of PR agency. So she's essentially having to follow him around from game to game, from home to home, and while they are being forced into this little proximity, romance ensues from there. Then the second book is Heartless. The first book was Flawless, if I didn't say this. So in Heartless, we have a single dad ex-nanny romance. So essentially, Kate Eaton, the eldest of the Eaton brothers, is in need of a nanny for the summer situation because he's got a lot of responsibilities he has to take on. So, Summer from the first book volunteers her friend Willa, who is this very vibrant bartender who kind of needs something to do over the summer. And Kate and Willa don't quite see eye to eye at the beginning, but he soon grows to trust her with his son, and then romance blossoms from there. This one, basically all of these books are age gap, but this one I think has the biggest age gap. Then the third book, my favorite 5-star read, Powerless. We have a childhood friends to lovers. You are following Jasper, who is the adopted son of the Eaton family, who is a famous hockey player who's currently going through a bad time, and then his best friend, who's Sloan, I'm pretty sure that's her name. And Sloan has recently been engaged to kind of an asshole of a guy due to her father trying to elicit a business transaction, and she's like, I need to skip town on my wedding day. So she becomes runaway bride, he becomes the getaway car, and they sort of follow their relationship going from childhood friends to more to lovers. And that's how it goes. If you're gonna, these are all series of interconnected standalones, but I am the person who likes to read things in order. Obviously, go read, to me, I'm like, just start from the beginning and start with Gold Rush Ranch, but if you don't want to, Flawless. I think Chestnut Springs is a little better than her first series, Gold Rush Ranch. But, you know, have fun. If you're looking for a little yeehaw, cowboy, spicy romance, this one's for you. Next up, we have Never Been Kissed by Timothy Janofsky. This is his debut novel, and for a debut novel, it was absolutely amazing. So in this one, you are following Roland, who essentially gets himself into all the boys he loved, like he loved before, situation where in the past, with every crush he's ever had, he's written a little email and just saved it to his computer. But one drunken night when he's just down in his feels, he accidentally emails all of those out to all of the boys he's ever loved before. And one of them happens to go to his childhood friend / crush, Derek. And unbeknownst to him, he and Derek are about to work together at the drive-in movie theater for the rest of the summer, and romance blossoms from there. This is new adult. It is closed door as far as I remember, but it's short, it's quick, it's sweet. You have some demisexuality rep in this one, and to me, this is one of my favorite books of all time. And for being his debut novel, love it. There's also a cutesy little side plot that kind of goes throughout this if you're not just looking for straight romance. Then we have the System series by Madison Fox, a fellow romance booktuber. I know she hasn't posted in a while because, you know, she's been writing book series, but she has some good stuff out. I've only read the first 2 books in this series. The last one did come out at the end of last year. Haven't quite picked it up yet, so I'm only going to talk about the first one. So the first one, Good Game. So this is the kickoff of the series, and it's an entire masked gamer series. So essentially you're following Stevie, who one night she's working a little like gamer award ceremony, and she hooks up with one of the gamers at the award show and then sort of starts a parallel relationship with his real life identity by chance. And, you know, this guy is trying to keep up, you know, his fake identity, and then things go from there. So essentially you're following her falling in love with the real guy and the masked gamer as well. And then there's a little underlying plot that goes along with this one as well. Then the next book, Forbidden Game, you are following Parker and Sydney. Sydney is the PR rep for the guys, but Parker's been in love with her basically since the first day they met. So you've got yourself a little friends to lover situation, and he's just head over heels in love with her, and they essentially just kind of go throughout the relationship as they are working, Parker trying to get up his game from the last book, and Sydney trying to help him do that, and just sort of the things that bring them together. It's very cute. It's very fun. There is also a little underlying plot to this one. This one is more romance focused than the first book, just because the first book had that underlying like mystery plot. And then the last book, I believe, also has a bit of dark elements to it that has a stalker romance, but I'm not sure. But I'm excited to read the last one because Jackson was the one that I was focusing on the most. Sorry for the noise. My mother has decided to play the TV very loud in the background. And I'm determined to finish filming this video today. So up next we have Highly Suspicious and Unfairly Cute by Talia Hibbert. This is her YA novel following Brad and Celine, who used to be childhood friends turned rivals, eventually turned lovers at the end of this book. So essentially Brad and Celine went their separate ways as Celine and Brad kind of went different crowds in like the high school. This is set in England, so I don't know what the high school situation is there. But as they entered a high school situation. But now they are both competing for the same scholarship in the Catherine Breakspear program. And as they are competing together, they start to get some old feelings start to come back up. We also do have a bisexual male main character in this who also deals with OCD. So if you're looking for some bisexual male representation, this one's for you. This was an absolute 5-star read. Then we have the Teachers in Love series by M.A. Wardell. This is all adult, open door, very spicy, very queer romance. And it is a completed series as far as I'm aware, and I have read all 3 books. So essentially the first book, Teacher of the Year, is kindergarten teacher ex-parent or parent of the new student in his class. Not much more to say after that. You're kind of following someone who's having their bisexual awakening and exploring that. You're also dealing with topics of addiction, like specifically alcohol addiction in this one. So do be aware of that one. Then we have Mistletoe and Michigas. This is kind of his play on a Christmas, Hanukkah, holiday romance, and you're following the new teacher in school and the janitor. So you've got a little grumpy ex-sunshine with the janitor being grumpy. He's ex-military dealing with heavy PTSD and sort of the don't ask, don't tell time of military where he was taking part. So you do deal with that underlying, thing going on. But essentially they get together because they both kind of need dates and boyfriends for their respective family gatherings for the holidays. And then the last one is Napkins and Other Distractions. This is the last and most recent book released from this series, and you're following the principal of the school from the last book. I think it's from the last book, who's been divorced for quite some time, and he's been an out bisexual man for many years, but he's entered his 50s and he's finally ready to start dating again, and he wants to try starting dating men again since he was married to a woman previously. So he goes on his first online date, and it kind of goes well but kind of doesn't, and then they're both realize that they're going to be forced to work together on an assignment for the school. And so forced proximity leads to romance. You also have another male main character who is dealing with OCD. And in this one, not only do you have queer men, you also have queer men over the age of 40 if you're looking for older characters in your romance. Exes and Foes by Amanda Woody. If you are looking for messy, traumatic, and funny all at once, this one's for you. This is a young adult novel following Emma and Caleb, who were once great childhood friends but have since parted ways in high school and have become sort of rival/dislike situation going on. But when the new person in school rolls up and they both have a crush on him, they make a deal to whoever get that person to kiss one of them first, that's who wins. And in this process of this deal going down and them competing for the same person, romance blooms once again between these two. This book was amazing. I think I gave it 4.5 stars. I laughed out loud. There were definitely some sad moments, and there were some very cutesy, sweet moments that went on. However, the only reason I got knocked down that half a point is because at some point I felt like they were just throwing trauma at us for trauma's sake. So do check your trigger warnings for this one, because there is a lot of heavy stuff talked about in this one, particularly on the part of Emma's character. But you have a bisexual FMC and a demisexual male main character. Next up, we have another debut romance novelist, and it was written by an 18-year-old author, so props to her. Our Secret Moments by Janisha Boswell. So this is the first in an interconnected standalone series, and it follows childhood best friends, two crushes, two lovers. So essentially what happens is one day they get thrust into what has been known as kind of like the lovers, crush. Eventually everyone who makes it out of this closet becomes relationship goals. And while they're in this closet, they're talking about, oh, they're just friends. But unbeknownst to both people, both of them have had massive crushes on each other for a while. And then they just kind of become closer and closer as she becomes the newest football sports reporter for the college, and he's captain of the football team. And then, romance ensues from there. And I'm excited to pick up the rest of the series. You can kind of tell this author is from England because there were some things that were a little sus about the college situation. But you know what? If you want cutesy, kind of just fluffy sports romance, this is for you. Then we have Fireworks by Alice Lynn. So this is a young adult novel following Lulu Lee, who recently found out that her childhood best friend, who she had a crush on, who left in middle school to become a K-pop idol, is making a secret return home. And, she's got to keep this secret from everyone while also having to deal with the feelings that have never quite left her as she's getting to be reacquainted with her new but old friend. And while they're getting to know each other and while she's helping him go through all of the struggles that he's been going through and dealing with the past few years, romance ensues. Also, bisexual FMC. So if you're looking for that one, this is cute. I've recently discovered a love for K-pop, so I appreciate this more. And also, who doesn't love a starstruck situation where the big famous guy, one of us is famous, comes in and falls for just the average everyday girl. And lastly, to round us out, I have a little bit of a sapphic romance, Outdrawn by Deanna Gray. So this is a rivals to lover situation dealing with comic book artists. Do I remember their names? No, we all know at this point, character names out the door. So essentially what happens is this down on her luck comic book artist who's been waiting for her big break gets offered this job to work on one of the biggest, re-released comics of all time. Only problem is her college rival going to be on the same team as her, and they are both working through how to better re-establish or recreate this character for the modern audience. And as they are working together, they're batting heads, but also falling for each other, and then romance ensues. This one also deals with a lot of heavy topics. We have one bisexual FMC and one lesbian FMC, and one of them is dealing with a injury, as well as one of them is dealing with, you know, oldest daughter syndrome of having to be the main financial and like personal caretaker of the family. This one is adult. There is spice in this one. This one I enjoyed. It ran a little long for me, but if you want something that's a little more unique, because I feel like you don't see a lot of like comic book focused romance books, I recommend this one. And those are all of the 10 romance book recommendations I have for you. Leave other romance book recommendations in the comments down below, because this is a romance book safe space, and also Valentine's Day is one of my favorite holidays, even if I am chronically single. I just love love. What can I say? And I'll see y'all in the next video.